And welcome back to Open Studio. I am Steve Leahy. This is Tokyo, Tiny Tokyo. Okay, we are on episode 11, and we're doing it. We got it. Things are moving, so that's good. I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep moving this way. I think that's a good idea. One thing I did notice in rewatching these in the premiere with you guys is that when I throw the reference photo up on the corner for you, like this, there's a difference in what you guys are seeing a little bit, and from what the painting is going on. And the reason for that is the camera is kind of it's really close. It's right off the side of me here. It's a great macro lens, so you guys get right in close. But the problem is I have to keep that at an angle so it's not in my way, which makes sense. The problem with that is there's this weird perspective thing that's going on with the panel, so it's like this. It's just extreme. Get it? So the pool, for instance, doesn't quite look right until I turn it towards you, and it's not in focus, but you get the idea. So if there seems to be discrepancies there, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because again, we're trying to go for like great amount of realism and really getting everything accurate as possible. So yeah, and kudos to everyone's eyes. Ken noticed that in one of the previous episodes, when he was watching it, I hadn't done these 7 little squares on the back of the high school yet. So if you guys see things I miss or see things I think I should add, please yell them out. All right, that's all the housekeeping I got for today, which is good. So we're going to move on. But before we move on, I did notice something else that I wanted to kind of correct. And this is a good thing to note anyway as we're going. I will often jump back to another part of a painting after I've looked at it for a while because I realized something that I missed, that I didn't see it around the first time. So if you are the type of person that really needs to get this step done and then move on, and if it doesn't get done perfectly, it's not right. It's a good thing to adopt, to be able to fix mistakes and go back in and change things that aren't right and be okay with that. I say this because for the longest time I was always not like that. When I'm done working on that part, I'm done no matter what. I'll just have to live with it. But you don't always have to live with it, so that's good. So one of the things I noticed in watching with you guys, and I love it because you guys are keeping me on my game. It's like, I better do these things right because people are watching. So on these solar panels, I'm pretty sure these are solar panels, there are some divisions that need to go in. So I'm going to grab a lighter gray here. Might be too light, but we'll see what happens. I also want to throw out a disclaimer. So you guys, I've said it before. I usually pre-record a bunch of these, especially this last group, like the last 4 I pre-recorded. That's good. And that's because I was going away, and it was just crazy and all this other stuff. So this episode here, episode 11, is the first episode back after the last little group. So I haven't painted in a week and a half. This painting here is not the painting you pick up after you haven't been painting for a week and a half. But, say it with me, what could go wrong? All right, so I've got a little bit darker gray, so I'm just going to clean up the bottom edge of these solar panels and add a little bit of shading underneath the bottom of them. So it's kind of a twofer here. There we go. I like it. I'm going to get better at looking at the my monitor too, to make sure that I don't move this off off screen like I've been doing, like a knucklehead. I've also reduced the size of the palette cam a little bit right there too. So I thought I got some feedback that that was a little bit too big too. So yeah, keep that feedback coming. I love it. The other thing I didn't mention yet, but you guys saw it on the last episode, was that I hit that with UVLS and it was wet. Now this is totally cured. It's actually extremely cured because it's been sitting around for a week to almost 2 weeks since I've worked on this last. But see that finish on that? That is like rock solid. So I mean, I could still do damage to the edge if I really, if I'm really like, working on this and rubbing on that edge. But for the most part, that's going to be really, really strong and safe, which is great. I love that. I hate fixing things because of stupid mistakes, and I do them a lot. All right, I think we're just gonna keep moving on. Let's move on to this little guy right here. I don't think I need anything. Again, I think the reference photo I'm gonna post up shows more of that building than I can see in the photocopy, but I can also see it in the reference, so I'm gonna roll with it. That gray is a shadow. That gray is a shadow, so we're gonna have to, but it's a pretty hard shadow. Oh, maybe not a shadow. I don't know. It's gray. All right. This building goes a little bit too long, so we're gonna fix that. I'm really, 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 really loving, and I know I said it before, but I'm really loving these Wednesday night premieres. Open Studio used to just appear as a regular video. On Wednesday it would pop up at 10 a.m. But it is so much fun to be able to be there with you guys when you guys see it for the first time and be able to comment and get your feedback on it. It's just huge. It's huge. It's one of the best things that I think YouTube has done. And I talked about this with my better half again. I talked about, I watched some of the videos and I'm like, oh, half an hour seems so short. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to leave it at a half an hour because we got the live feed on Thursday and that can go for whatever. And the time lapses are nice and short, so this falls right in between that, and I think that's the way it's going to be. I like it. I'm going to resist the urge to make these an hour or whatever. What ultimately might happen, though, as interest kind of continues, I might end up doing a longer format Open Studio, but maybe on the Patreon. And for those who are members on Patreon, thank you so much. You guys are charter members. You're in at the beginning, and I totally appreciate that. So, all right. Yeah, I can't see a little bit more here. So I got some windows here, but not too much on this one. All right, the windows on this guy. First, I got to get the roof of this guy because it does some goofy stuff, and I want to make sure I got it right. Yeah, and I think that's the way we're going to go. Actually, before, I keep forgetting to do this, so I'm going to do this right now too. Let me move this over a little bit. So I might have mentioned this at one point, this damaged thing here. The painting got scratched. Somehow either it fell or I don't even know. Usually I know, but this time I don't. It took a hit down to the primer, down to the Autoborn sealer. You can see the gray right there. And this is the gray of the painting. I'm going to... I was just going to see if I wanted to correct that first. You know what? I'm gonna veto that. I was gonna just do this quick repair right here, but when I quickly glanced at it, after I first noticed it, I thought this had dimension to it. I thought this was a deep scratch, but really it's just in this gray paint we did as a like a base, not a base coat, because the Autoborn sealer is a base coat. The gray color I used as an underpainting. That's what I wanted to say. Use your words, Steve. And there isn't that much of this gray on there, so there isn't very much dimension here at all, if any. So that means when I get to this part and I'm painting in the buildings, it'll just cover it. So I'm not going to worry about it. I was originally thinking that it went down into the all the way down to the aluminum, and then it would have had dimension, and then I would have had to take care of it, because then when you clear it, you can see the divot. Even if it looks great, like straight on, you know, if there's a different height of that paint layer, you'll see it when you clear it. I mean, you'd have to put a lot of clear and then you bury it, but, you know, again, for a 5-second fix, do I want to take, you know, the 15 minutes, you know, and then curing time of an whole extra coat of clear, and then have to sand all that, you know? Yeah. All right. Another great question came up a few weeks ago about, or a couple weeks ago, about what I'm going to finish this in, what the clear coat is going to be, and I'm just going to move on. I'll talk while I'm doing this, and I'm this is going to be automotive clear, House of Color, or, you know, another type of show clear or something. There's no reason why I couldn't use UVLS satin like I do with the other paintings. That's totally cool. It's just that all these paintings, you know, they're kind of in a series now. As I do them, they share a size format, and they share a vibe and all that. So they also share automotive clear. You know, they all have a really shiny clear coat. All right, so the first bank has 3 windows, the second bank has 4. So that's what my second bank is. There we go. I think I also mentioned that I do have a brand new brush. This one's about, I'll tell you, because I started using it at the beginning of the year. So this one's about a half a year old, and the ferrule got bent somehow. It got jammed in my, you know, art box when I was traveling the beginning of the year, and I remember using this, opening it up brand new when I was traveling. I don't know, somehow it got, you know, banged around, and still works and everything, but, you know, it's dangerous when the ferrule gets damaged. This one got dented like way back in here, so that's fine. If it gets dented up here near the end and it changes the shape of the bristles, then you're kind of out of luck. Again, I can't throw these away. I just have them all. I can figure out what to do with them at some point. I mean, you know, I do use some of the older ones for like, you know, if I was doing trees or something on a scale like this, where I needed to like stipple, you know, like do a lot of that. That's hard on a brush, doing all those little dots. It just ruins the tip. Not ruins, but it wears out the tip. No, I try not to do that with a new brush, but with an older brush, like a brush that I've already retired, that's great for that. But these things last forever, even with that, even treating them like that. So I've got a brush drawer with a ton of these that are just kind of there. I can figure out what to do with them. All right, so it's 3 windows down to this gray, so I'm doing good there. I can't really see what's going on in the gray. I can't see that there's another window here, though. I can't tell if the windows go across, but it gets darker gray, so I'm going to airbrush that to get it even darker. Also, the paint on this wet palette is too old. Again, it's been sitting around for a week, and a week and a half, really. And while the wet palette does a great job of keeping the paint open, it's, you know, it also changes the paint. So this stuff on the palette is pretty wonky. So what I'm going to do is between this weekend or episode and next episode, I'm going to change out the paint. Or am I? I really should. Yeah, I will. All right, so that's good. I might as well just kind of keep. I don't want to. What do I want to do there? Finish the front of this building. Yeah, sounds good. And in filming this, we are also the end of July, so it is really warm, and that helps paint to dry. So even though the wet palette does a good job, it's battling the elements, so that's tough. By the way, this little building over here, again, I was watching it after this building right here. When I put in these little black windows here, these are in the wrong spot. I so want to fix this. And you know what? I'm going to fix this. All right. Again, it's nice watching this with you guys because after, like I said, you know, when I watch them, they're already done, you know, obviously. And when I'm watching it with you guys, I'm like, oh my God, fix that. You know, that's not right. Again, at the end of the day, is someone going to say, oh, those, you know, those windows on this building here aren't in the right spot? You know, you're like, no one's going to do that. But now that I've brought you guys in with me, you guys might do that. So now I got to make sure they're right. I could have easily let this go, you know, and no one would have been like busting my chops on it. All right, so the idea with the repairs is the same as doing the windows that I just did. You know, instead of trying to mess around with them, I'm just going to repaint that line, get the windows back in, let that dry a little bit, and then I'll put them in the right spot. So what I noticed when I was kind of messing around with that was the separation of the windows was in line with whatever this little door is, this entryway or garage door or whatever it is. So the other thing, I'm not going to keep going back into it. I literally, like watching it with you guys, I'm finding all these things. I'm like, no, fix that. So it's in line with this bar up here. And it's too thick. Damn it. Come on, man. Like I said, it's been a week off. Actually, it's not terrible. It's been a week off, and it's been, you know. Actually, no, that's not bad at all. All right, I can live with that. Yay. What was I doing? I was doing this building here. And while I have been fun looking up buildings, I'm gonna not. I mean, like I said, if a building stands out, I'll look it up and find out what it is. But don't worry about that. It'll be like every 5 seconds there's a new building popping up. Although, you know, that being said, it really does help me with the painting, because it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's really what that building is. And that's a nice thing. Nice thing. All right, so now I've got the light gray, so I'm starting to like just, I'm going to put in the windows, but I'm going to start cleaning these up too a little bit. Yeah, this gray is wonky too. What happens with the paint is when you replace the binders and the reducers with water, with the Wicked colors and any acrylic colors, I mean, the company makes the paint to perform the way it's supposed to perform with the stuff in it that's in it. So when you remove components from that and put in your own, essentially that's what I'm doing with the wet palette, it's not going to work like it worked when it came out of the bottle. It just makes sense, right? So that's what's going on here. This paint has been sitting on the wet palette for a week and a half. And just what it's been doing is the solvents in it have been evaporating, and the only thing it can replace it with is the distilled water that's in the palette. So that means all this stuff is not like it was when I put it out. And that's fine, I could still make it work, but there's a danger. You know, with this scale there isn't. It'll be buried under clear, it'll be stuck on there forever, it's not a problem. But if you're working large and you have like heavier layers of paint, this stuff here with more water than binder isn't going to stick the way it should. So I guarantee that if I use this on just this palette on a whole painting and then take like a piece of tape, like a piece of FBS tape or whatever, any kind of tape, and put it over that thing and then rip it off, I'll pull all the tape, all the paint off, because the binder is gone, you know what I mean? So you gotta use this type of thing, this wet palette, or any kind of adjusting your paint with the knowledge that, you know, it was built to perform a certain way. So anyway, that's my soapbox for today on that. All right, we're going to finish this now. And that's good, because I was yapping. That gave that a chance to dry a a little bit. Yeah, also the parchment too wears out too. So you end up digging a hole in the parchment as you're working with a old palette. Okay, so the first division of the windows is right at this corner, so we're going to start with that. That was probably a little bit too far over there. This paint is junk. All right. What's going to happen is I'm trying to save paint here, and what I'm doing is I'm wasting time on the painting because the paint isn't working right, so then I put it in and it gets screwed up, and then I have to fix it. So instead of doing all that, we'll put out, all I need is black and white for this episode. So we'll put a little bit of black and white and just cut our losses here. And like I said, by the time you guys come back next week, I will have the palette. Oh, you know what I may do? I know what I'll do. Next episode, I will start by replacing the parchment on this palette so you guys can see that. All right, so let's make up a gray. Do I have to fix that? I really do, because it sucks. All right. I could tell right away. This new paint is like smooth and not buttery, but a thinner version of buttery. I don't know, oily, I guess. Yeah, oily is a good description. Not like the way it separates, but just the way that it feels on the brush. It just like gets into the brush and it's smooth. And this stuff here is very, the stuff that's really old is very grainy and thin, and it just doesn't feel the same way. All right, so we're going to fix that now by replacing the windows. And the nice thing too is what am I doing here? This is more opaque as well, so it'll only take like one pass to do this. Where before, it would take a couple with that grainy mess. So I gotta really fix this stuff up here. All right, I'm getting up to speed. Episode 11 is the get back on track episode. Oh, gee, this. All right. Once I do, though, we'll get this. And that's too wet. Okay. Yeah, this is too wet. All right, I'm gonna really stop and slow down a little bit because we're just going back and over the same thing. Dry that off. That wasn't terrible. Actually, those window separations are pretty big anyway. And I'll say it again, that's how a painting like this goes for me sometimes. Like I'll agonize over one building, everything will be going wrong. I don't even want to say this painting. I'm going to say like a lot of paintings. You end up struggling with a part of it, and it's really a pain in the butt, and you just feel like discouraged and like nothing's going right. And then other parts of the painting fly and come out perfect in the first shot. And that's true with like all kinds of things we do. So the moral of that story is just kind of stick with it, All right. Got the gray back in, so we'll try not to. Well, first let me palette this a little bit. Yeah, that's still too wet. What am I doing? When it's too wet, it floods out, and then I can't get like that super precise little crisp line that I need. And the end of that, I know that looks like I whacked that, but the end of that window was wrong anyway. Yeah, when it's too wet, it just floods out, and you don't get, you don't get a really great tight little line with it. All right, that's going to be good. Let's start by fixing these windows. And I get a lot, questions about magnification. Do I use any kind of magnification when I'm painting? And I haven't yet. I think honestly, when my eyes get to the point where this isn't really, you know, possible, rather than continuing to abuse them by using, like, you know, a bunch of magnification, I think I might just start working bigger again. It's just preservation, you know what I mean? You want to take care of your body, and, you know, this is hard on my eyes, and I know that. It is hard on my eyes, but I also think, in a weird way, that it has preserved my close-up vision as well. You know, because I'm using that close-up vision every day, all the time, and I think it's just kept those muscles active that help focus, you know, on this scale. Now, I could be totally talking out of my butt on that, so any ophthalmologists, you know, please chime in. I know one of my last eye doctor, not my new one here, but my one in Massachusetts, was like, you know, yeah, you should probably not be doing this all the time. It's like looking at a computer screen all the time, but without the, you know, other stuff. But still. Anyway, take care of yourself. That's all I gotta say. Okay, now I think we're ready to go back in again and try those windows. This is kind of thin. Okay, so I don't know if I rinsed out the brush and didn't get all the water out of it and then put it on the palette, because, you know, it happens, but we're going to make sure that we don't have a bunch of watery paint here. That's what happened the first time. It still feels a little bit watery, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, make sure the paint is in there nicely, and I want to go here. That's the corner, that's where it is, but these windows are too... All right, so let's do this. I'll tell you what I'm thinking in a second. I'll put the rest of these windows in. I know there are 3 of them, so that makes that easy. And those feel good. Those are rectangular. I gotta fix this one up here. These over here are too short. All these windows are the same size, but those ones on the end are too short, which is fine. At first I thought I was gonna have to fix the whole thing again, but I don't think I do. I just have to correct those little windows on the edge, which is fine. We'll just push them out to the, well, we're gonna do, because this little gray shadow on the side could be wrong, so I'm gonna extend the windows, because I know those windows have to be that length to look right. So we're just gonna extend those out a little bit, clean up that one, clean up the corner of this one. Good. Okay. Because it's easier to do that, get those windows right, and then add a new edge of the building in, than to try to force things or just leave it in the wrong spot. You know, like if I had, again, at the end of the day, the chances of someone coming up to this painting and saying, oh, those windows right there in the end of this building right here, they're not, you know, they're not right. They're as long as the other ones. It's not going to happen. But if I'm not going to fix it, then why even do it? You know what I mean? It's like being good, you know? You don't be good just when people are around. You're good all the time. If you're not, what's the point? It's the same thing with this. It's like, you know, if you're going to get it right, get it right. And I'm telling you, the payoff is when someone comes up to you, and it has happened, where they're like, hey, I can see where I live. Or, you know, that's the building that I work in. You know, that's the payoff, man. That's the payoff. Okay, this little guy right here, the side of this building, what are we looking at? Oh, it is darker. This little thing right here. But I think, again, this is why the photocopy is so good. Because, again, now this vertical darker line, it looks too small. But anyway, all right, we'll leave it right there. That was good. We got a lot of that building done. So what we're going to do when we come back next episode, we're going to change the wet palette so you can see how that works, and we're just going to keep on keeping on. All right, you guys know what to do. Thank you so much. Oh, actually, while I'm doing the thank yous, let me put up the the full view of this so you can see what it looks like. It's not much different than last week, but still gives you a good feel for what the whole thing is like. So while this is going on, don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button for me, guys. Any interaction with the post or the feed or the video will help YouTube believe that it's important. I love you guys. If you want to support what we do here, you can do what these lovely people have done and jump on as a member here. You get special perks as well as Patreon, which I talked about earlier. You also get special stuff over there too. All right, so for Steve Leahy and Through Lachlan's Eyes, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.